Hello, everyone. Welcome to Center for Historical and Literary Research, New Delhi. We meet here today for the next episode of lecture series from the pages of history. Today, we have with us Dr. Mayank Kumar. He is Associate Professor of History at School of Social Sciences, Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. His research interests pertain to exploration of human nature relationships in the early modern times. Dr. Kumar completed his MPhil by examining Hindi literature of 16th and the 17th century India. Later, he argued his doctoral thesis at Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, that the ecology is defined and redefined by a mutual and continuous interface amid the complex webs of interaction among the physical, religious, socio-cultural, and politico-economic settings. He was associated with Arizona State University as a Fulbright Fellow to work on climate change and water issues. He was also a fellow at Nehru Memorial Museum and Library, New Delhi. The list of Dr. Kumar's academic achievements goes on, and yet he calls himself an inquisitive historian who is only trying to study the climate. Welcome to CHL Asa. Over to you.
Thank you, Budushi, for that generous introduction. As we have discussed, today we are going to discuss history, society, and monsoon. May I request Vidushi to please share the slide so that I can begin with a painting which captures, at least for Indian context, human negotiation with monsoon. It's Raja Balwant Singh waiting for the or looking forward to monsoon or looking at the clouds and expecting a good monsoon. I have chosen this painting simply because to make you understand that the monsoon has been very important consideration for human society in India. Or rather, I have been terming Indian civilization or Indian society as monsoon ecologies because we are to a great extent depend on the monsoon rains, be it North India, be it floodplains of Indo-Gangetic plains, or be it South India, Northeast, or even the Rajasthan, monsoon has been characterizing the nature of society. Before I venture into the details of monsoon and its interactions, let me make it very, very clear that uh, history, society, or monsoon, any one of them, they are dynamic in character. They are not static. And that is very important for us to understand, especially in the present context. We need to understand that things have been changing, things will keep on changing. So let me begin with the changing character of history. Unfortunately, we confuse history with the facts. Facts are there, facts are important for history, but history as past has been changing. It will keep on changing. So that changing character or dynamic character of history makes it very, very different from other social sciences because we are negotiating regularly with the changes. The changes not only in terms of historical changes, but in terms of historiography. What I mean by historiography, the way historians are looking back at past, even that lens is changing. To begin with, or to make you things very clear, initially it was the political history which was at the focus of historical narratives. Gradually we realize that that is very important, but there are other factors in society who should also be given a space when we are examining the processes of historical transitions or historical process itself. So the lens through which historian is changing is most of the time is very contemporary. It is the contemporary social context which makes us as a historian aware of different possibilities through which historical past can be relooked or it can be seen. This historiography has evolved, and I'm proud to be a historian because we have been keeping pace with the changes in the economy, changes in the natural sciences. And that is where monsoon comes into picture. The way historians are examining environmental history it is absolutely, if I can borrow the term, cutting edge research is being done. And we are, in a true sense of the word, interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary. The kind of studies which are being developed, which are being done at the moment. And there's a reason for that. Given the climate crisis to which the whole world was responding, the world realized that it is a time then we must look at the past environment so that we can understand the possibilities of future transitions. And historians have played very important role. Let me cite you one example. Then perhaps this changing lens and interaction with the natural sciences or interdisciplinary character of history will become more clear to you. Lucien Fabre, a French historian, famous French annals historian, he was approached by the scientists when they were developing dendrochronology, which means they were studying the tree rings. And the width of tree ring symbolizes the good monsoon or good season or bad season. If tree ring, on the tree, there are annual rings. The width of ring signifies the reaction or adaptation to the climate in that particular year. If the width of the ring is good, which means the climate was appropriate for that plantation. If width of that ring is small or very, very limited, which means the climate was not bad. This technique was being developed by the scientists, but they wanted to check, is it really reflecting that, or does these tree rings symbolize something else? So when they approached our historian Lucien Fabre, what he did, a very interesting thing. He looked at the archives which was available in Europe, especially with the church, and there he could locate that we have the tribute was paid to the church, which has been maintained in a record. A register has been maintained. He looked at that record for those particular years for which these tree rings supposed to represent, and then tried to corroborate or cross-examine that the years which are represented in these so-called scientific understanding, do they in reality reflect the historical processes? And to our surprise, it was very interesting to know that the kind of tithe or the tax or the tribute which was paid to the church which was recorded, if weather or the climate has been good, then the peasantry was paying a good amount, a handsome amount. If the production was limited, less, then obviously they paid the less. So using that record, historian testified that the trading studies are definitely acceptable way of understanding the past societies. Before I venture further into these, let me also highlight one thing for our viewer, of our listener, that these registers are primarily religious in character, but they provide us glimpses of environmental history, they provide us glimpses of economic history, they provide us glimpses of social history, which means these sources were existing since a long time. But it is the lens through which historian was looking at makes a different understanding or enables us to understand a different perspective of same society. And that is why I have been saying that history by character is dynamic. Not only the past, but the discipline of history itself is dynamic. You all know society is very, very dynamic. There is no dispute on that. Societies have changed, and it will keep on changing. Some changes will be for good. Some changes will be for the not be acceptable to us. But even there, we need to have a caveat. We need to understand that what is good for us may not be good for the others in the society. Similarly, if I extend that argument in terms of climatic change or monsoon, what is good for monsoon, what is good for us may not be good for others. Let me give an example, then perhaps you will understand. The salt makers of Rajasthan, they depend on the sun or the dry weather. If they take out the water, dry it on the bed, on land, and as it dries up, it evaporates the saline water evaporates, and you get the salt. But in between, if you get good monsoon or good rains, then the whole effort goes into vain. It is the same period, same time when the peasant is looking for a good rains. So monsoons should always be seen from the perspective of those who are benefiting from it, or those who are negotiating with it. So that negotiation is continuous, and there is no one negotiation. There are multiple negotiations, multiple negotiations. So what I'm trying to say, that the society is dynamic, Monsoon is dynamic, and the way historians have been negotiating or understanding the past societies or the past character of Monsoon is also changing. In the same processes, we need to understand that despite our tremendous growth, tremendous development in the science and technology, despite that, still we are only minuscule in the in the larger cosmos. We It is being argued nowadays that we have been influencing the climate so much that a new term Anthropocene is being coined. I'm not going into the detail of that. Perhaps we might discuss Anthropocene somewhere sometime later, or you can read about Anthropocene. But what I'm trying to say is that these changes are natural. These changes are very, very regular. So humans have been negotiating, interacting with the monsoon, interacting with the social processes. In the same process, what is important for us to discuss at the moment is that we have been adapting to the in our negotiations. We have been adapting, at times modifying it. But these adaptation, these modifications are both because we need to understand that the forces of nature are still beyond our control. Even today, if one monsoon fails, Indian economy suffers a lot. There are cyclones. We only understand the cyclone is emerging. We take precaution and we retreat back. We have no mechanism to stop the cyclones. We have no mechanism to make rains fall or to make a good monsoon happen. Which means, despite our tremendous scientific technological developments, monsoon or the natural forces or natural processes are still way beyond us. I'm emphasizing this point for you to understand that the humans or human society should always be ready for changes, for adapting to the changing conditions. If I can give you another example, perhaps I will be in a better position to explain. Indian society has been very good at adaptations, and we have been able to adapt. There are societies which have collapsed simply because they could not adapt to the changing climatic conditions. And there are several societies. If anybody is interested, then they can read either a book called Collapse, or they can read B.M. Fagan's The Great Summer, the Long Summer, The Little Ice Age by B.M. Fagan. All these books document the processes through which societies have been able to adapt, or if they're not able to adapt, they have been collapsing. That is why I'm emphasizing the dynamic character of history. I'm emphasizing the dynamic character of society and monsoon. That dynamic character has been hallmark of human society, but with the present day consumerism, the present day globalization is unfortunately imposing on us a very monolithic way of sustenance. That may be a cause of concern for us. I'm not going to the detail because I'm not discussing the contemporary issues. I'm primarily focusing on the pre-modern societies or pre-colonial societies, because then the negotiations were of a very different character, and that is where adaptations are very much visible. So I will be discussing few adaptations to monsoon, and then you understand why it is important to understand the dynamic character. uh, there was a very important one-page article published in Nature, if I'm not wrong. It was "Stationarity is Dead." It says that the title was "Stationarity is Dead," which means we should, as a human society, a contemporary human society, should understand the era in which we were living is now going to change. That stationarity, that regularity of monsoon may be disrupted, and we are witnessing that disruptions on a very regular pattern. So that stationarity is dead. So we are moving to a society which has to accept adaptation. and that adaptation has a multiple character. And we'll be discussing those adaptations to make you understand the the changing character of our understanding as a historian, the changing character of society, and the changing character of adaptation with the monsoon. These modifications, these changes have been to a great extent governed by or mediated by economic structure, by social structures. Every societies have not gone through the same process of adaptations. Some societies have evolved differently. Let me quote once again Lucien Fabre. And no, I'm saying Emmanuel Laduri, another school historian. And his text was The Territory of Historian. In that text, he says that a river, a natural feature, a river, might be seen by some societies as a barrier, natural barrier. For some societies, it might be providing the mode of sustenance that the fish are available, or other kind of you can use water for irrigation. So sustenance can be provided by the river. There are other societies who might be seeing the same river as a mode of transportation and going beyond. So the same natural feature may has been resulting in different sets of adaptations. So it is the human society, the character of human society, its economy, its polity, its ideology plays very important role, and none of them are static. So these changes should be understood very carefully. These adaptations, what I'm going to discuss at the moment, are primarily from my area of research, that is Rajasthan, and the other, I'll say, the medieval Rajasthan. But other civilizations, other regions of India have also witnessed, if not similar, the other kinds of adaptations. Those who are interested in monsoon or understanding the adaptations, they can refer three very important books. One of them was published by Center for Science and Environment, Dying Wisdom. They have documented the rainwater harvesting systems across India, almost all parts of India, and the adaptation to the monsoon rains. Their technologies has been documented by Center for Science and Environment, and the text is called Dying Wisdom. It was translated in Hindi as well, and if I'm not wrong, it was translated in other regional languages as well. One can check on the CAC website. The other two books are primarily in Hindi by Anupam Mishra, who was part of the team which assisted the Center for Science and Environment. Anupam Mishra wrote आज भी खरे हैं तालाब and राजस्थान की रजत बूंदें. आज भी खरे हैं तालाब means the tanks or the water storage ponds, the tanks are even today functioning at a very optimal level. Means they are खरे, अभी भी वो ठीक हैं, you can use them. And the Rajasthan की रजत बूंदें. Rajat means silver, boons mean drop, which means the rain is silver drops for the Rajasthan area, which is arid, or the arid parts of Rajasthan. You treat these silver drops as a Rajat Boonde, Rajasthan ki Rajat Boonde. So these three books are important for you to understand the human negotiations with the changing character of monsoon. Not every negotiation was similar, or there are varieties of that. At the moment, the picture you are seeing or witnessing is that it's a Rani Vav of Patan, Gujarat. It's a Rani Vav of Patan. It's primarily a step well, 7-story step well. It goes down. It's a long step well. Now it is being preserved as a World Heritage Site. It's notified as a World Heritage Site. Why I'm showing this picture? Simply because to make you understand in what ways water harvesting was celebrated. On the walls, because I went quite early, it's a picture of 2002-3, but later on I have come across, and I know that the walls of these this step well was adorned by which was later on restored by the iconography. Brahmanic iconography is represented here, which means it was performing a social function. It was also performing a cultural function, it was also performing a religious function. Access to water, caste considerations, I'm not discussing at the moment. What I'm trying to highlight, the one structure which you see, Ranival, has has a multiple interpretation, and those interpretations are important for a historian to investigate and for you to understand that there is no one singular meaning of any structure. There are multiple meanings of a structure, and as a student or as a anybody who's interested in understanding societies should always look at the other possibilities through which same structure, same source, same event, same process can be seen. That will enrich our understanding of past. This is another picture of one of the step well. This is Bandhare near Dausa in Jaipur. I'll not go into details because I want to take you to something else. This is another step well, which is located at near Tonk, and it is known as Rani Hari Ki Bawdi. Rani Hari Ki Bawdi, which means it was patronized by the Rani of that region. And what is important for us to understand, the steps. Please look at the steps. I could not show you the other picture. I'll try to later on share that. But look at the step. These steps are very important. Architecture innovation. These are very important architecture innovation. Look on all these steps. These are not going vertically down. You come back and then you step down. By making these steps sideways, you are reducing the exposure of the tank. Compare it with the Rani valve. It's a long, so it's a very deep but very long, where you have a well. Here, you are maximizing the collection of water, rainwater, and storing that. But to reduce the rate of evaporation, you have reduced the length of this step well by using these side steps. Through using this, you have reduced the depth, you have reduced the expansion of this structure. So those adaptations have gradually evolved. The Rani valve is 9th, 10th century. Rani Hari Ki Bawdi is a 17th, 18th century structure, which means over a period of time, human societies have been trying to understand in what ways they can improve upon these structures of rainwater harvesting and how can they make it more adaptable to the existing conditions. Given the hot summer, you wanted to reduce the exposure of tank, so you don't want to make it much larger. To reduce that width, you have used this side steps through which you have reduced the expanse of that. This is another structure, and this is where I will give devote larger time because it's a very interesting structure. Step wells we have been reading. It's in news. It's well discussed, but the johars are relatively less discussed. So I wanted to focus on that. This is primarily in the region of Fatehpur or Jhunjhunu area of Rajasthan. It's 150 kilometers from Jaipur, part of the Great Indian Desert. The desert spreads from this area, and then you move towards Bikaner and move towards the Greater Indian Desert. Look at the bottom of the tank. This is concrete because here you have sand. And if you want to store water on sand, it will percolate down. It will not stay back. So you need to have the floor, concrete floor. You are storing water here, but that storage has to be ensured that it should not percolate deep down into the ground. So what they have done, they have primarily made the floor concrete. It is capturing the rainwater, which is usually not more than 4 to 5 inches per year, not more than that. And that 4 to 5 inches have confined primarily to 3 to 4 months of monsoon. The innovativeness or the adaptation or negotiation with the existing conditions, on the one hand you have monsoon, on the other hand you have the soil which is sandy, so you cannot store water. So you need to evolve a mechanism which is different from the other kind of structures. What they have been doing, They constructed these johars where the rainwater used to flow down, and they channelize that flow of water through this slope. There is a slope which takes that water inside that johar. This is the other side. This is the other side, the out the wall. This is the other side of the same step well. The area which I have marked in circle, I am showing the back side of that through this picture. But they were very careful that when rains are taking place and the water is flowing, it will be muddy, it will be carrying the sand. So they have stored that water here, and there are holes not at the base but at a higher level, so that water stops and then settles down, and the surplus flows into the main water tank. So they were well aware that not only water is being channelized, but the sand which is in the water should be retained, should be restricted. So they were trying to understand the geography, the climate, and then evolving a system which is more feasible for the local conditions. The other advantage of this slope is that the water is stored here because the opening for the what inlet opening are at a higher level, so some water is always stored there. So animals can come down and drink water from this storage, and there are several in this area, Churu area or the Fatehpur area. There are several johar. Johars were primarily made in an area where you have the soil is sandy. We tend to confuse sandy soils with Jaisalmer also. Please understand, Jaisalmer is located on a hilly terrain. It's not sand. Sand is beyond Jaisalmer. You have to go to some to witness the true character of sand. In Jaisalmer, what they have done, they have channelized the water which is flowing from the top, and then use that meager monsoon rains to sustain this civilization. With that, they were able to produce or give more or produce more agriculture. I will not be going to details because of paucity of time, but you need to understand it's not only the monsoon which is important. It is the geology, it is the geography where that monsoon is available or rains are available. You have to adapt. That is what I'm saying. The character is very, very dynamic. It's not uniform across Rajasthan. And we cannot say that all the parts of Rajasthan are one and the same. Different parts have different kind of geology, different kind of geography, and different kind of climatic conditions. So you have a negotiation on that basis. This is the other picture of the same slope. So what I'm trying to make you understand, that the humans were able to map, understand the flow of water, and then channelize that flow of water to the primary area of storage. This area of storage was also used for recreational purposes. They have built a pavilion here, and there are steps to go to this pavilion. So perhaps I have not come across the document, but understanding of this structure perhaps suggests that this was used as a place of pleasure by the ruler also, and they were using this place for pleasure, where perhaps musical performance were also taking place. I'm not very sure. That is my hunch. I'm trying to substantiate that, trying to locate the sources through which I can substantiate that. But the sheer purpose of having a pavilion here with the staircases suggests that there were other uses of this place, not only simply water harvesting. Now I want to share a painting with you, because then the other dimension of monsoon should be visible to you. There are structures. I'm not going to details of, there are numerous structures. The paintings are another sources through which we can understand society's negotiation with the monsoon, or the as an important source of history. These paintings are available. These paintings are primarily known as Ragmala paintings. They depict a particular rag, a particular musical note, and that is primarily dependent or a product of the musical word. In the music, they have developed that this rag is performed in the evening, this rag is performed in the summer, this rag is performed in the monsoon. So there are, according to the changing weather, the rags were decided or created. And these rags were also further noted down or passed on to the next generation with the help of the paintings also. These are Ragmala paintings. The whole series is there. I am citing only one of the paintings because in what ways monsoon is celebrated is visible in this painting. And don't confine to this painting only. You all are aware of Meghdoot, the classical text by Kalidas. It's a Meghdoot. It's the rain, which is the clouds which are messenger of of a beloved, sending message to the lover. I'm simply suggesting look at the imagination of society and try to understand in what ways these monsoons were imagined, understood, and celebrated by the society. And those celebrations are represented in our music, those celebrations are represented in our painting, and there are numerous paintings available to understand the negotiations with monsoon. I begin with one of the painting so that you understand the anxieties related with the monsoon. If monsoon is delayed, the king is worried because if monsoon is not good, the agriculture production will decline. So his share, his income will decline. So there is a economic understanding also. Then there is a social understanding also, where it is being celebrated for its the kind of joy which rain brings after summer. And then you celebrate that, you enjoy that. There are numerous songs in Hindi films where you celebrate the monsoon or celebrate the rains. So please understand, those celebrations are part and parcel of our understanding of monsoon, because monsoon is that, as I in the beginning said, that monsoon has been seen by different sections of society at different point of times in different manners. So there has not been one reading of understanding of monsoon. Or human society history has been very clearly and very deliberately engaging with the past societies, past climatic conditions, to make you understand that there are multiple readings of monsoon. That has been my focus of today's discussion. That history, society, and monsoon, all these three are dynamic in character, and we need to understand and document this dynamic character in multiple ways. There are plenty to research on these topics, and I invite young researchers to join us in our endeavor to understand the changing pattern of climate. It will be useful for our future. Not only that, the different dimensions of our past, which goes much beyond the simple economic narrative or simple political narrative of past societies. So we will be examining that. Please understand that. Thank you very much.